destroying teams at home, incredible wins away, players in the form of their life, and third in the league for Christmas. It's the review of the season so far, so stick around. Welcome back to Blackandwhitebanter, Newcastle fans. If you are new to this channel, you've just stumbled across this video through the Nufc algorithm on YouTube. You've never been here before. Please give us one of them. Little thumbs up goes a long way, and it doesn't take much to just click it, does it? So go on, do it. Be a legend. And if you do like this video by the end, whack that subscribe. Or maybe you just want to hit the subscribe now because you like the sound of my voice. Very unlikely, but hey, do that as well. And if you haven't already got Blackandwhitebanter across all social media, we are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Content on there every single day. Not normally serious, but always Newcastle United. So, I normally do these at the end of the season in previous years, these season reviews, review of the year so far, but because of this very strange World Cup, this is going to turn into a review of the season so far, now that we've got a month break. And I'm going to be totally honest with you, Newcastle fans, I don't think I've ever looked forward to analysing and looking over a season, even if we are only 15 games in, as much as right now for this video, because my God, what a ride it's been. What an absolute ride. We are third in the league for Christmas. Every day you look at the league table and you just want to go to the shop and get a 6-pack of beers and celebrate what is just an incredible journey that I think none of us maybe expected to happen as quickly as what it has with regards to this new project, this new manager and this new Newcastle United that we've finally got back as our own football club and seeing things that we've only dreamt of seeing over the past 14 years. Apart from the Pardew season, of course, that fluky 1 year under Alan Pardew. But wow, what an incredible season so far. And we aren't even halfway technically fixture-wise. We haven't even hit that 19-game mark. But it feels like halfway with this break before Christmas. So I'm just going to rattle off a couple of key areas. I've had so much fun looking over the season before I jumped on to make this video. So please, Newcastle fans, as I always ask, get in the comments and let me know with every category what your choices are, because I love hearing, I love debating, and it's comments and subscribers and likes and shares that really, really make me want to make more videos. So I appreciate every single person who jumps on and lets me know in the comments, so please do that. So without further ado, first category of the season so far is game of the season. Now, for game of the season for me, I mean, again, every single category for this review so far is going to be very difficult, and that tells you everything about the season that we've had. There's hardly anything gone wrong this year. It's been almost, you could say, perfect, minus a couple of VAR decisions and maybe a couple of chances not converted that could have got us even more points. So I've been very lucky this season to go to practically every home and away league game apart from Tottenham away, because I was away for the weekend in Poland. And that was a pretty good game, but I wasn't there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this just for selfish reasons to make my decision easier into a home and away category. So the home game of the season so far for me has to be Aston Villa. We beat them 4-0, but there was just something in that second half that made me come out of that stadium and think, wow, we are a force to be reckoned with. Now, the first half was very cagey. Aston Villa had a lot of the ball, and you could even argue at half-time, before that penalty was given in injury time, that it was quite an even game. Callum Wilson slots the penalty away in injury time, and then in the second half, I don't think I've ever seen us come out and basically just go, and just crank things up, and we absolutely pummeled them. It was like walking out on a paintball field with the lads and not having a paintball gun and having no protection and being pelted with a million paintballs from every direction. That's what happened with Aston Villa. Almiron scored a worldie, and it was just all of the ball, chance after chance after chance. We hit the bar, we hit the post, we had shots at their goalkeeper that were just wide. Almiron, like I said, got in on the act. Callum Wilson got in on the act. Joe Linton got in on the act. And the atmosphere was absolutely rocking. And yes, we've had a bit of history with Aston Villa in previous years, but I came out of that stadium and thought, wow, what is this Newcastle United I am watching now? We are literally Fortress St James's, and we are destroying football clubs. And again, it wasn't an easy one. We've had a 5-1 win against Brentford in there. We had the opening game of the season that probably gets forgotten against Nottingham Forest, where, yes, we struggled to convert chances, but we saw Fabian Schär pelt one in, and we had a million chances and probably 90% of the ball against Nottingham Forest on the opening day, and the atmosphere was great. But for me, that Aston Villa second-half performance was a unique performance, unlike anything I've seen from a Newcastle side at home for a very, very long time. And they just lost Gerrard, so we were a bit worried they were going to be slightly better, Aston Villa, in that match, because they'd won the week before 4-0. But we absolutely battered them, and I'll look back on that one as the season goes on, I think, with fond memories. Now, my favourite away game, and they've all been incredible. Anyone who does away days, who's been lucky enough to watch Newcastle play away, you don't just go for the football. Normally you wouldn't go for the football at all. It's for the day out. Now it's a combination of both. There's been some great ones. Wolves, when we scored that last minute Maximin absolute screamer. I think I fell 5 seats forward with the lads. That was a good one. That was a bank holiday Sunday as well, which is always a nice day to go on an away day, if you know what I mean. But for me, it has to be more recently Southampton. I wasn't lucky enough to be at Tottenham, and I got told at Tottenham the way we won that and bossed most of that game was a fantastic away day. But I was away, sod's law. But Southampton, we went through different weather conditions. We took the lead, and the way we just ended up scoring, again, 4 goals away from home was incredible. And I was lucky enough to be at the end. Obviously, Almiron celebrated with us in the first half, which was just absolute scenes. The rain coming down almost made it more enjoyable in a weird sort of way. We were all getting wet and we didn't care. And it was just another great day out. And I'd never actually been to St Mary's before that, so it was another stadium ticked off. Fulham came close. We obviously beat them 4-0. That was a good day out. But for me, Southampton so far. So that's my 2 home and away. Let us know yours in the comments. So next up, player of the season so far. Now, I know what you're thinking. There's a very, 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 very obvious choice with this one. Of course, Miguel Almiron, who anyone who's watched my videos for a very long time, I've been very critical of. He has been in the form of his life, particularly after the Jack Grealish comments that came out in the summer. You couldn't write it, could you? He's literally shat all over Jack Grealish's face with the form he's been in. Player of the month, goal of the month, worldies left, right and centre that haven't even been nominated for goal of the month. And we see in almost a different Miguel Almiron. So yes, for 99.999% of Newcastle fans, it's going to be Almiron. For me, I'm going to go down a slightly more controversial route just for a number of factors. So this defence, I think, is the foundation of why we are where we are in the league. It's the best defence I've probably ever seen in my lifetime as a unit, as a complete unit. And I think because Sven Botman has come into this league as a 22-year-old, still quite raw kid into one of the fastest-paced leagues in the world, hasn't really got any Premier League experience of any note. He's just watched it on the telly. For him to come into this league and look as comfortable on the ball, be as important to everything we do, to be as dominating aerially, I'm going to give it to Sven Botman. Obviously, Almiron is barking down my neck like a little puppy. He would be most fans' choices. He would be a very, very, very close second. But just because, you know, I used to play as a defender when I was younger, I've always had a soft spot for defenders. Sven Botman, I think, in a couple of years could be one of the best defenders in world football. And the speed at which he's adapted. Don't forget, he didn't even start for Eddie Howe in the opening games of the season. So Nottingham Forest, he was actually overlooked. He didn't actually come in for that game, much to a couple of people's surprise. It was a centre-back partnership of Dan Burn and Fabian Schär, who obviously scored the screamer that day. And he's just been absolutely phenomenal. And the fact that he can only get better, the fact he's been overlooked for the World Cup, which I think is madness, is only going to work in Newcastle's favour. So he, for me, is the player of the season so far. But we could have had loads. Bruno's been absolutely incredible. Joe Linton's just doing Joe Linton things. Obviously, I mentioned Miggy. Callum Wilson's playing out of his skin to get to that World Cup squad. Kieran Trippier is one of the best right-backs in world football. And don't even forget about Nick Pope. Don't forget about Dan Burn. Don't forget about Fabian Schär. It's crazy. So please, I'm intrigued to get your player of the season in the comments. Next one up for me is surprise package of the season so far. That's a little bit more of an out there question and a little bit more of a quirky one. Now, surprise package for me, based off how we've performed, based off where we are in the league, I'm probably going to have to give that. It's a difficult one, and I did debate this one. So for me, it was a mix. It was between Sean Longstaff, and it was actually, because he's played a little bit more recently, and this could be a controversial call, it's between Jacob Murphy as well. So I'm going to give it to Sean Longstaff. And the reason I'm going to give it to Sean Longstaff is because myself and a lot of other Newcastle fans, maybe in the earlier games of the season, were very critical of him. Now, Eddie Howe is obviously a fan. He's getting to the point now where he is doing a lot of unsung work in that team, and he's becoming integral to that midfield. He's got one of the highest work rates in the Premier League, which is one of his stronger points. And he, for me, is, again, just becoming a regular name on the team sheet for Eddie Howe. And if you go back to that criticism he's received, and a lot of Newcastle fans on on social media were actually commenting under Sean Longstaff post, basically supporting him because they knew he was coming in for criticism. And as a Geordie lad, that can't be easy. Cannot be easy at all. And I think he's improved his game massively. I think he's starting to know his role in this team. Yes, we'd like to see him release the ball a little bit better at times, a little bit faster. Yes, he can be a little bit sloppy in passing. He maybe doesn't have the quality of Bruno, the quality of Joe Linton, you could argue as well. Very different players. But Sean Longstaff, for me, unsung hero. And I do honestly believe that Eddie Howe has transformed another player in him. And it's a transformation we maybe aren't talking about as much. Next category is goal of the season so far. Ooh, well, this is basically a one-man show for Miguel Almiron. Well, no, it's not. It's not. I know Miguel Almiron scored some absolute screamers, yes. But because of the limbs, because I was there falling, actually really hurt me back falling that day. Because of the timing of the goal as well, my goal of the season has to go to Alan Saint-Maximin. Wow, that goal at Wolves, first time volley, the technique involved, the sweetness of the strike, the timing of the goal to get us an equaliser in the dying minutes of the match, to obviously, we've only lost the once, to maintain that fantastic record that we've got of barely losing this season, apart from that 97th minute Liverpool goal. Alan Saint-Maximin gets it. I'm sorry, Miggy, you've scored some absolute beauties. The one at Fulham, from where I was sitting, I actually thought that was a total fluke. I watched it back and it blew my mind to see that you meant that. You won against Villa, you won against Everton past Pickford Little Arms, but for me, Alan Saint-Maximin just trumps it. We aren't going to see a strike like that in a Newcastle shirt for a very long time. They come along few and far between. An honourable mention as well to Fabian Schär on the opening day. He's done it against Burnley and he loves a strike, and that was an absolute worldie when we needed a goal because we were not breaking down that Nottingham Forest team at all. So that's another one for me. But yeah, Alan Saint-Maximin, take a bow. I wish I could play it, but obviously YouTube police would get in trouble. I'd get in trouble off the YouTube police. Final category to finish on a more negative has to be biggest disappointment of the season. And that's the hardest one, and that's what when I sat down with my paper, that's what made this video so great. That the biggest disappointment under previous managers, not going to name any names, you probably know who I'm talking about, but under previous management and previous seasons, I could have given you a list a mile long, but biggest disappointment for me is so difficult, and I think it's whoever I say is going to be harsh, but I'm not going to skip a category. I'm not going to say, oh, nobody, like proper cringe. I have to pick one for that category, and for this one I am going to go for, it was between two again, so it was between Alan Saint-Maximin and Chris Wood. Alan Saint-Maximin because I feel like he's had flashes of brilliance, as I've just mentioned, his wonderful goal against Wolves, his lung-busting performance against Manchester City where Kyle Walker was at 6s and 7s the whole match. He's had injuries, and that's why I wasn't going to count him. And the gentleman who I'm going to bring in, again, I feel so harsh in doing so because he hasn't had much game time, but the gentleman I'm going to give to biggest disappointment is going to be Chris Wood. I'm sorry, Chris, and it breaks my heart to even do that because we've all had such a fantastic season, such a roller coaster, but these are the categories I want to stick with. The reason I'm saying him is he's played for us in the Cup. He started against Crystal Palace and I thought he looked very lethargic. He started against Chelsea when we beat them and he was full of running. Mendy was not given a second and I loved him for that. But I just think as a backup to Callum Wilson when Isak's been injured, it just doesn't look like he cuts the mustard. And that's all I'm basing this off. So the word disappointment is a terrible word. He hasn't disappointed me. I haven't expected much of Chris Wood going into some of these matches where he's played. That's all I'm basing that off. So I had to give it to somebody, Chris. I'm sorry. I don't think you are suited to our playing style. I think Burnley was where you were comfortable. You did such a wonderful job for us in helping us stay up. with your hold-up play and helping to play that forward role when Wilson was out. I'm sorry, Chris, it's going to have to be given to you. And the final category to finish on is going to be summing up the season in one sentence. This is another one I've really loved to do. So I'm going to sum up this season by an unexpected roller coaster ride that I don't want to get off. That's how I'm going to sum it up. If that makes your toes curl, if that makes you want to go and throw up or stop this video, I apologise, but I couldn't word it any better than that. It's been a roller coaster. I've said that from day one, that I didn't expect top 4. I didn't expect top 5. I was just going along for the ride. Here we are sitting third. I don't see anyone beating us, and we look like title challengers as I make this video. That's incredible. What a roller coaster it's been, Newcastle fans. If you are new to Black and White Banter, make sure you drop down, give us one of these, whack that subscribe if you've lasted this long, and please, the reason I like to do these videos, I want every single one of your answers for the different categories. So let me know in the comments. I'm going to keep the Newcastle content coming during the World Cup. Please whack that subscribe button. It means a lot. It goes so much to me, and it really puts a smile on my face. And I'll see you on the next video. How are you, lads?